Welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Janice Cobham, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakoran. Let's take a look at the headlines. Nigeria recovers 3.2 billion naira foreign loot in 14 months. Federal government inaugurates Nigeria Shippers Council Governing Board, plus 5 more EU nations to help France combat wildfire. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for joining us on the news at 4. We begin with a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has reversed his authorization of the acquisition of the entire share capital of Mobil Producing Nigeria Unlimited by STVNg Offshore Limited. The move puts the presidency on the side of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, which had earlier declined the $1.3 billion transaction. Recall that a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, showed that President Buhari consented to acquisition of ExxonMobil shares by STVNg Offshore Limited, authorizing the move in his capacity as Minister of Petroleum as a way to attract foreign direct investments to the country. However, giving an update on the issue, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said the previous misunderstanding was because the agencies involved in the decision had not coordinated well among themselves. According to him, having looked at all of the facts with all of the ramifications, the President decided the position of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission was to be supported. And away from that now, federal government has recovered over 3.2 billion naira of stolen monies from various jurisdictions globally from March 2021 to May 2022. This is as it generated a total of 1.82 billion naira from the sale of bid farms and actual sale of forfeited properties in the first 18 months of the Buhari-led administration. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, confirmed this to journalists at the 46th session of the State House briefing organized by the Presidential Communications team at the Asu Rock Villa, Abuja. According to him, the recovered foreign loots have since been disbursed into key infrastructure projects nationwide. In a related development, federal government has said it secured more than 1,000 convictions for terrorism-related court cases in the last 18 months. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami stated this while appearing on the monthly ministerial briefing at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The minister was accompanied to the briefing by senior officials of the Ministry of Justice and some of the departments and agencies under the ministry. Meanwhile, federal government says the 1,130 stolen Benin bronzes and other artifacts to be repatriated to Nigeria will make a tour of schools and the whole country. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, stated this in Abuja when he inspected the Millennium Tower and Cultural Center under construction with his counterparts, Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Bello. Mohammed added that besides the tour of schools, when the artifacts arrived in Nigeria, they would be available to the public to view for people to reconnect with their past and history. And federal government has inaugurated Nigerian Shippers Council Governing Board with a charge to foster a robust, accountable and result-oriented economy in line with global best practices. While inaugurating the board in Abuja, Minister of Transportation Muazu Sambo reminded members that the council was vested with the responsibility of providing a forum for protection of interests of shippers on matters affecting the shipment of imports and exports in Nigeria. Sambo noted that the council was also mandated to liaise with the appropriate arms of government and other organizations in assessing the stability and adequacy of existing services and make appropriate recommendations, while urging the board to maintain harmonious working relationship with the management of the council. Sambo expressed confidence in the ability of board members to deploy their expertise to promote prudence, transparency, accountability, equity, and fairness in the discharge of their responsibilities and to shun corruption. In another development, the federal government's total borrowing from the Central Bank of Nigeria through Ways and Means advances reportedly rose from 17.46 trillion naira in December 2021 to 19.91 trillion naira in June 2022. According to data from the CBN, this shows that the federal government borrowed 2.45 trillion naira from the Apex Bank within 6 months. The Debt Management Office noted that the money owed the CBN by the federal government was not part of the country's total public debt stock, which stood at 41.60 trillion naira as of March 2022. It said the public debt stock only includes the debt of the federal government of Nigeria, the 36 state government, and the Federal Capital Territory. Meanwhile, the federal government has urged members of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN, and the Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria, COBON, to ensure professionalization in the activities. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, gave the advice while inaugurating COREN and COBON council members in Abuja. Fashola noted that the Buhari-led administration was investing significantly in infrastructure. He added that the association played a vital role in ensuring that the various infrastructure projects across the country succeeded.
Our government has committed to infrastructure as one of the major ways in which to reboot our economy, to create employment, and to compete on the continental and global stage. Nothing will help Nigeria more than a display of professionalism by those who lead, who define, who recruit, who regulate, who certify membership of the engineering profession.
In the meantime, the federal government has deployed a new technology as a stopgap solution to the challenges confronting Nigeria's power grid. Officials of the Transmission Company of Nigeria said the technology, comprising Internet of Things and the Virtual Private Network, was deployed by the government through TCN to monitor real-time grid operations and help mitigate power system collapse. It was also gathered that the facility would boost power grid management at the National Control Center, Oshogbo in Osun State, as it would improve real-time operations of the national grid, pending the development of a long-term network automation system. On the judiciary, a Federal Capital Territory High Court has adjourned till October 4 the trial of the suspended Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, and 3 others for alleged 109.5 billion naira fraud. Justice Adeyemi Ajayi fixed the date after listening to the submissions of all the counsel in the matter. The counsel to Idris, Godwin Uche, had told the courts that he and the other defendant counsels had not been able to meet with their clients yet on the statements all of them made at the EFCC office. Earlier, the judge revoked Usman's bail over his failure to arrive in court on time, adding that counsel to Ibrahim Ishaku had notified the courts that his client was held up in a gridlock. And back here, Akwa Ibomites have been urged to disabuse their minds of the old notion that their votes during election will not count, or that only popular and renowned candidates always win elections in Nigeria. The people of the state were encouraged to guard their permanent voters' cards, PVCs, consciously and exercise their franchise when the time is due, as votes come 2023 elections will count for a better Nigeria. Speaking with Planet News on behalf of Keke owners and riders, Comrade Jeremiah Jackson observed that Keke riders will significantly influence the outcome of 2023 elections if they collectively unite towards the 2023 electioneering year. Other Keke riders underscored the importance of everyone playing active roles in the selection of the next crop of leaders to steer the affairs of the state and country. Still to come in the news, Man City agree €11 million deal to sign Anderlecht's left back. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now to the rest of the stories. We move now to Africa, where rescuers are continuing to find survivors and bodies after a building collapsed in Nairobi. The four-story structure came down in the afternoon in the Kenyan capital. Red Cross Society's head of disaster management, Michel Ayabe, said the number of people that had been trapped in the rubble was unknown. Meanwhile, officials have said 3 fatalities had been reported so far, adding that one person was also taken to hospital in a critical condition. And still in Africa, a nationwide curfew has been declared in Sierra Leone following massive protests in parts of Freetown and other areas in the northern part of the country. 2 police officers were allegedly killed yesterday when protesters descended into clashes between security forces and youths demanding the president resign because of economic hardship. Protesters were heard chanting "Bao must go," referring to President Julius Bao, who is currently in the United Kingdom on a private visit. Police say dozens of protesters had been arrested and dozens of people were injured. According to reports, the internet was temporarily blocked in Freetown yesterday. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has landed in Kigali, Rwanda. His third and final stop in Africa will see him meet with Rwandan President Paul Kagame today. Blinken is expected to visit the Kigali Genocide Memorial before holding a press conference with Foreign Minister Vincent Biruta and meeting with civil society representatives. Blinken told reporters in Kinshasa that the United States and Syria had serious concerns about credible reports of Rwanda backing of the M23 rebels and promised that Washington was not turning a blind eye. He is therefore expected to tough on these key issues during his Rwandan trip. And still on the foreign scene, as French officials today warned that flare-ups could cause a massive wildfire before the country's patch southwest. President Emmanuel Macron has tweeted tweeted that 5 more European allies are providing help for firefighters battling 8 major wildfires across the country. The prefecture of the Gironde department said Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne will meet with authorities battling the Landiras blaze south of Bordeaux, and further reinforcements are expected for the 1,000 firefighters on site. Currently, 8 major wildfires are reportedly raging in France, and Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin, who was also heading to meet Gironde officials today, said Sweden and Italy were sending firefighters aircraft to help. President Macron said via Twitter that Germany, Greece, Poland, Romania, and Austria are also providing help. And still on the foreign scene, the FBI search of former U.S. President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence was reportedly prompted by a tip to investigators about the possibility of additional classified documents at Palm Beach Court. The FBI and the Department of Justice had met with Trump's attorney at Mar-a-Lago in June, seeking more information about classified material that had been taken to Florida after Trump departed the White House. Following that meeting, the Wall Street Journal reports that someone familiar with the stored papers told investigators there may be still more classified documents at the private club beyond what Trump turned over to the National Archives earlier this year. Monday's search warrant execution pertained to both the handling of classified documents and the Presidential Records Act. For months, investigators have been looking into how Trump handled material taken with him when he left the White House after the National Archives and Record Administration referred the case to the Justice Department earlier this year. On business news, in light with Nigeria's dwindling revenue, the World Bank has raised the alarm that the country might be facing an existential threat with the continued payment of trillions of naira on fuel subsidy by the government and the attendant economic challenges. The international financial institution warned that if the country failed to optimize its tax system and focus on other areas to boost its revenue, the already low revenue would continue to drop. It noted that despite the rise in the price of oil in the international market, Nigeria had not reaped the benefits because of the huge amount spent on fuel subsidy. Senior public sector specialist, domestic resource mobilization at the World Bank, Raju Awatish, who said these at a virtual pre-summit organized by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, insisted that Nigeria would have to eliminate the subsidy regime eventually. Still in business, importation of used vehicles into Nigeria has reportedly declined since the introduction of the Vehicle Identification Number (VIN) by the Nigerian Customs Services. A member of the National Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders, Ugochukwu Nadi, confirmed this to newsmen, claiming that the policy had made it difficult for Nigerians to afford second-hand or used vehicles. Clearing agents have been supported Nadi's position, explaining that the non-exclusion of accident or accidented vehicles on the VIN platform for the evaluation of imported vehicles and hike in foreign exchange had discouraged many importers from bringing in damaged or used vehicles. And in health, federal government has commenced discussions with the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors over the demands of the doctors. The publicity secretary of the association, Dr. Yusuf Alfa, announced this in an interview with newsmen. It could be recalled that the resident doctors had on July 30 issued a 2-week ultimatum to the federal government to implement all the agreements it had with the association, or it will embark on an indefinite strike. The doctors are asking the federal government to expedite action on the payment of the newly reviewed Medical Residency Training Fund to enable its members meet up with the closing date of examination registration as advertised by the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria. They are also demanding the immediate implementation and payment of the new hazard allowance and arrears as contained in the circular from the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission, among other demands. And to some sports stories, Manchester City have agreed an £11 million deal with Anderlecht to sign left-back Sergio Gomez. He is due to arrive in Manchester in the next 24 to 48 hours to undergo a medical and complete the move. The 21-year-old is considered a development player by City, and the intention is to loan him out to one of the other City Group clubs. It is not beyond the realms of possibility that he will join Pep Guardiola's first-team squad this season, but City remained focused on alternative first-term targets. And still in sports, the opening match for this year's World Cup between host Qatar and Ecuador will be brought forward by one day to November 20. According to reports, the move will be approved by the FIFA Council before the 100-day countdown starts this week and will retain the tradition of the first match featuring the host country. Under the existing arrangements, Senegal and the Netherlands played the first game on November 21, followed by the official inauguration match between Qatar and Ecuador later that day. On our entertainment news, Nollywood actor Moses Armstrong has been granted bail. Friends and fans of the actor took to their Facebook page where they celebrated his release with photos of the actor outside the courtroom shared on social media. Recall that Armstrong was arrested by men of the Akwa Ibom State Police Command in June for allegedly defiling a 16-year-old girl. Reacting to the news at the time of his arrest, the president of the Actors Guild of Nigeria, Emeka Rulers, described the case as a very serious one and distanced the guild from the horrendous act. Rulers revealed that the case is being handled by the First Lady of Akwa Ibom State, Martha Emmanuel, through her Family Empowerment and Youth Orientation PATH initiative. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do also follow us on all our social media and subscribe to our YouTube page, all of which you can find on our website at spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. My name is Janice Cobham. Do have a good evening.